Hello, good morning. This is Dr. Collum, and I am back again with another Get to Know Your Board Member video as part of this series, as we wanted to take the time to highlight our board members and the service that they give back to our schools in this community. So I have with me Mr. Trip Leach. He's been on the board now for 10 plus years, I believe.
Long time, yeah.
Quite some time, and Mr. Leach has been board president and spent a lot of time working on this board. So welcome this morning, and Mr. Leach, I wanted to start with a couple of questions about what inspired you to serve as a school board member.
Yeah, well, Jeff, so I grew up in Perryville, a little town right across the river, and I went to the big city of Conway,
Yes.
to go to college, and met my wife here in Conway, and we just fell in love with Conway. So we planted here and started having children, and so I took it upon myself to start to get involved at the school. And I'd been serving at my church. Courtney and I have been giving back to the community just about ever since we've been married. She works with a nonprofit that helps kids with special needs. I've served in my church and family ministry for years. And since I've served on the board, I've also served on Children's Advocacy Alliance. We help vulnerable children. So, I strongly believe that our kids are our future. And I believe they're worth our best effort. And I felt like I could make a contribution with my experience and my perspective as a parent on the board, and so I ran.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So having served on the board for 10 years, you've seen a lot of change and growth and facility projects and all kind of things happening in the Conway Public Schools. Speak to, if you can, what are some of the things that you've enjoyed, the projects that you've seen come to fruition, and what are you excited about in the future for the district?
Wow, there's too many to number. Being on the board for 10 years with a district as wonderful as ours, it's hard to pinpoint all of them, but I'll name a few. My background as CFO is financial, so when I got on the board, I immediately looked at our debt structure and started to understand how school finance worked. And we had historically low interest rates. So, I kind of inquired into, hey, can we look at restructuring our debt? And this won't excite a lot of people, but it excites me because we did. Scott Beersley, of course, was a great help with us. But we resold those bonds when I got on the board. And those bonds will save us about $8 million in interest over the life of that. So that was right out of the gates one way I felt like I could contribute. But as I've learned more about being a part of the school, we've done a lot of incredible projects around the school. If you go and look at most of our facilities, with the exception of maybe the junior high, which we're going to address, I know, in the future, but if you look at all of our schools, man, they're in top shape. I mean, they're well maintained, and we've been able to renovate them with our team that we have that saved the district a lot of money. And so I think it's $55 million when I last looked at it since I've been on the board of infrastructure projects we've been able to do, and that's all within the bounds of our budget.
Right.
And so really excited about that. Now, some future projects that I'm excited about is definitely looking at the facilities that we have that may need some work. The junior high, I know, is one that we're looking at and contemplating. But I'm also incredibly excited about the team we have here. Yeah. And that also leads me to another thing that I was super excited is to be on the board when we brought you here.
Yes.
That was an incredibly fruitful experience, not just going through the process of hiring a superintendent. We had a great legacy here with Dr. Murray, so all the pressure I felt like was on me because I was the president during the time. But man, when you came into the picture and we were able to snag you away from Texas, which was definitely a plus. You've now created an incredible administrative team. I mean, we have some of the most experienced central office staff, I think, in the state, to be honest. I mean, we have, 4 people with
Top
superintendent
notch. Yes, sir.
experience. And then we've always had great administrators and teachers and support staff. So I'm really excited about what this team is up to.
Yeah.
And all the wonderful things you're doing in academics, sports, all the other things that make Conway great. So
I appreciate that. And thinking about being fiscally conservative over the years, and you sitting on this board for 10 plus years, that doesn't happen by accident. You have to be methodical. You have to pay attention to those budgets. Working with Dr. Murray and the leadership team, that is a result of the board looking in on those pieces to make sure that we're physically sound and that we can do these projects. And so what a great role that you've played in making sure that continues on. And then again, I thank you guys as a board and you as a board member too, allowing me to hire and recruit some of the best in the state. I feel blessed to have these team members around me, and because of them and the support of the board, we're able to push this district forward. So I'm very excited about that. Next is, and I think you can speak to this from your 10 plus years of experience, what are effective qualities of a board member? What have you learned during your tenure that you feel like have made you successful as a board member? And then what would you say to new board members and this new board as we've come together and worked together as a team? What are essential qualities of a board member from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest, it took me a little while to figure that out. I think there's a lot of misnomers out there about what a school board member does, including myself when I first come on. And it was more of an inquiry for me more than feeling like I knew. But yes, over 10 years, I've got a great understanding of what it means to be a board member. And one of the first things I would say is you have to be a team player. You are not an individual decision maker. We are a team of 8. And you're only as good and as strong as your team. And because unlike contrary to popular belief, the school board doesn't run our schools. They don't teach the kids, they don't drive the buses, they don't discipline the kids. That's the job of the administration and the teachers, and the support staff. So those, and we have excellent teachers and support staff and administrators. And so our job is to equip you guys, give you the support, encouragement that you need to face all those challenges every day. And then also as a board, we have to be open and honest with one another, collaborate, and agree to disagree sometimes, but hopefully understand each other's point of view and listen. The other thing I would say that I've learned from being on the board is that mission can change, strategies can change, but your core values never need to change.
Yes.
And I have my own personal values that I hold, such as, treat other people like you want to be treated, give it your all in everything you do. But I was really fortunate to be on the board when we crafted our core values for the district. And so, students first, excellence, value and respecting diversity, innovation, cultivating those community relationships, and then a safe, caring environment. And so especially that first one, students first, that's always in the back of my mind as we're creating and maybe even changing strategies at times. So I think that's important for new board members to know, and even current board members to know, is like you got to stay centered on those values. And the last thing I'll say is a board member needs to be compassionate. Even you and I have been through a few
We've had our time.
situations that were
Yes.
difficult, and people don't always agree. Especially, I'm an elected official. I mean, you're appointed, but I'm an elected official. But even in your capacity, we have to understand that people are always going to agree with what we do. And so the important thing is, are we going to listen to them when they don't agree? And I've always tried to do that, being on the board, is making sure that I understand where the disagreement is, and then showing compassion. Because I've found, especially in a crisis, I was president during COVID as well, and we've had other challenges, but through that crisis, what I learned is the loudest voices typically are people that are hurt or afraid. And as a board member, the best antidote for that is compassion. Is to realizing there's a human being on the other side of that, and they might be hurt or afraid. And so showing care for their situation is always important.
That's good. That's a lot. That's
Yeah,
rich
yeah.
and deep. But that's 10 years of experience from a veteran board member that I think we can all continue to learn from. And so you named two things that I think of. You were board president during navigating COVID, and then you were board president during a time when the district was transitioning from one superintendent leadership to the next. And so that alone is enough to say, I've done my job and I'm good. But you still have a passion and a desire to serve the community, and that's to be applauded for the amount of time and work that you've put in. And so thank you for sharing that. All right, this is probably my favorite question, and I love to hear the different responses from our board. What does it mean to be a Wampus Cat to you? You've got children in the district, you bleed blue, you love Conway, you love our schools, but what does it mean to be a Wampus Cat to you?
Yeah, so I mentioned I'm a transplant, so I came here early on, I would say, right after high school. But what it means to be a Wampus Cat to me is you have to love this community.
Yeah.
Conway is such a wonderful city. In fact, that was one of the reasons why we stayed here in Conway, because it's such a rich environment to raise children. And as you mentioned, I have 4 kids, and one was a lifer Wampus Cat.
Yes.
He just graduated. I was privileged to be able, Quentin. Yep. And I was privileged to hand him his diploma with, I got something in my eye, so I was, there was some water coming out of that eye.
It's allowed.
But man, I was just so proud of not only him, but the experience that he was afforded here in Conway, which has prepared him now, and now he's a UCA Bear.
That's awesome.
So, and he went and served our country, so he did his training and boot camp, but he came back. He's in the National Guard Reserve, so he's doing that part-time. But he came back and he joined UCA. So that speaks a lot to me because I think of his experience. Conway is definitely his home. It's always going to be his home. And so I'm glad he's here. And then I have 3 other kids, too. They've all been a part of the district. And so for me, what it means to be a Wampus Cat is just having pride not only in our school, but also in our community, because we have wonderful people that work here, that live here, and to be honest, I actually don't like having to leave Conway. I love this little bubble that I live in because of the people, because the schools are great. Just it's a wonderful place to live. So that's what it means to me to be a Wampus Cat. It's just the love for the city and school. So.
Thank you for sharing that. And I can tell you as a dad and now finishing up year 3 as a superintendent, at first I had to ask what a Wampus Cat really was, but now I know, and I know it well. And if you come here and you stay for any length of time, you will take on that spirit of pride in the schools. You'll want to be a Wampus Cat. We've got a hype video out that says you'll run here too. And so if you stay here long enough, you'll want to be part of that culture that we have going on in Conway. Mr. Leach, it's been an honor to sit down with you this morning and talk from a veteran board member's perspective about their time on the board, what they love about our schools. And I have really enjoyed this series, taking the time to get to know every individual board member, what they love about the school system and what they see, their vision, their hope for the future of these schools. And so thank you again. We'll continue this series and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.